Well, hi everyone, we're back again. Yes, I'm back here with my good buddy over there, Keith Melsham, all the way there in Kelowna. Good morning to you, Keith.
And good late afternoon to you, Pete. How are you today?
I'm all right, mate. I'll tell you, a bit stormy the weather outside. Summer's finally arrived, and I'm digging it. But
Yep.
not the hay fever part of it that goes along with it. But
Sorry to hear that.
no, no worries. Hey, listen, Keith, we've been asking people to send in questions, etc. And I think we've got really four good questions today.
All right.
So
Good
let's
stuff.
bring the list up and then I'll go
Okay.
through them with you.
Please do.
Hey, listen, before we start, just want to shout out to everyone for any questions you want to ask myself and Keith. Dave couldn't make it today. He's doing something with his family.
Hmm.
So he got us two, the terrible two.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, so that's why Dave ain't here. But I know you're going on vacation soon, so
Yeah.
and probably be just me and Dave for a couple of weeks. But anyway, yeah, keep sending in the questions. The questions there, I'll tell you what, they're getting really, really good.
Good.
And I sent them over to Keith my this morning because I thought I better give him a bit of a heads up because I think they're very thought provoking.
Hmm.
Let's just deep dive straight into it. A person living with pain, guy called Tom. Tom, all he really says is how does the program address both the physical and emotional aspects of pain? And that's all he's really put. But I'm just
Hmm.
guessing that he's talking about like a pain self-management program or a pain
Hmm.
management program. Keith, have you been on a pain management program? You haven't, yeah?
I have not. No.
Oh,
That's, with me way back when I was kind of finding my better way through this, those weren't really they weren't really available, at least where I lived. So
yeah.
I had to learn the hard way and kind of stumble and figure my way out through it. So
Okay. Shall I answer? I can only talk about my experience with
please do. Yeah.
the input program, and
Hmm.
they did address the physical side and the emotional side of it. The On the program, the input program I attended in '96, they had physical therapists there or physiotherapist. Oh, it's hanging around you. See, I'm starting to talk like you, physical therapist.
No, no, we're they're physios in
Oh,
Canada.
you're physiotherapist as
They're
well. I think
physical
America.
therapists in the US. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, we had several physiotherapists on our program. We had OTs, occupational therapists, but we had a clinical psychologist, guy called
Hmm.
Toby Newton-John,
Hmm.
and I can't remember the other. That he was the one. Anyway, we was in two different groups, like, but Toby was the clinical psychologist for our one. He's really good. And funny enough, over the years I've caught up with him again, and we have chats, and He's been part of our conversations as that we hold it.
Hmm.
I think he was a speaker on one of the conferences. I think, but
Yep.
yeah. So they do on a pain management program. They do cover that aspects of it. So the physiotherapist will um, go take you through some nice simple stretching exercises that you can be doing. Uh, and etc. And with pain, exactly, it is an emotional experience, like um, and that's why they have a clinical psychologist because the pain how it affects us mentally as well.
Hmm.
You get very low mood or depression, etc. So a pain management program, Tom, if you can. Um, when you get yourself in a pain management program, that they will have a psychologist involved and also a physical therapist. Okay, so the second question is from a healthcare professional called Gail, and she asks, "What role do healthcare professionals play? Uh, what role do healthcare professionals play in supporting patients throughout the self-management process?" Do you want to take that one on board?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question
Yes.
because it shines the light on that the healthcare professionals can be can support people who live with pain. And the reason I say that's important is because all too often healthcare professionals, through their education and how the medical systems work, they're more taught that their role is to fix somebody's pain and make it go away or make it so much less. And there's a time and a place for those kind of interventions. But you and I know all too often for people who live with persistent pain, you can't fix it, and surgery or needle intervention isn't going to be the only way to manage it. So the role that healthcare professionals can play is when they get to that point where they're like, okay, we need to now look at the bigger picture. They can become your biggest supporter, and this I think speaks to supported self-management. So you and I and others who live with persistent pain, we have learned how to self-manage our pain. But there are still times when we might need to go back and see our healthcare professional, whatever they are, whether it's a doctor or allied healthcare professionals, who might need a little help on some stuff. And instead of them saying to us, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do because they only know how to give you an injection or some other procedure, they can work with you. They can support the person. They can say, what is it that you're trying to achieve? They can be their coach. And if there is something that they can do to help them out, to support their self-management, then they can offer that. But if they're just there to listen, help them, guide them where they want to go, encourage them and say, hey, you're doing the right things, keep at it, it's going to take time, instead of just letting them be dropped and say, well, there's nothing I can do for you, you're on your own. So it's critically important because there are times when people in their self-management journey might need to go back, or often do need to go back to the healthcare professionals and say, hey, I've hit a roadblock, or I'm not sure if this is working right. Can you help me? And healthcare professionals can be their biggest advocate to help them through that.
Yeah. I think the word you said there, coaching, is I think that's
Hmm.
coming quite into. I don't know what it's like over here in Canada, but certainly here in the UK, there's lots of coaching, people becoming more health coaches and stuff like that.
Hmm.
As you know, we started up the Pain Toolkit Academy last year, where
Yep.
we run courses for healthcare professionals, and also in February we launched the course for people living with persistent pain. So, um, yeah, I think healthcare professional, the coaching, I think is I like that idea of it because it's a little bit like a driving instructor. As you know, I always go back on this one because I was been
Yep.
an instructor myself. Is that they're there to sort of show you how things work.
Yep.
But then in the end of the day, like you're in the driving seat,
Mhm.
a good coach will get you back in the driving seat, and they're there to guide you along, etc. Uh,
Yeah.
as to and give you the confidence to manage your pain yourself. So
Yeah. I like that. It's to support you, be there in the seat beside you. And if you're a medical doctor, I don't want to hear from them, well, I'm not a psychologist. You don't need to be a fully trained psychologist. You just need to be a human being who can listen to somebody and say to them, yeah, I understand maybe you're having a bit of a hard time. So let's talk about that and what can we do to kind of help you through that.
yeah,
That's just human compassion and empathy.
yeah,
And they don't they put them in their silos in the medical system and they say, well, you're a PT or or a physician, and so you can't look outside of those blocks. Well, I don't, that's not true. They can still work within their scope of practice legally by just talking to people and supporting them and saying, here's the things that you can do. Now I'm here with you. You go off and do it and let me know what I can do to help. So
Hey,
yeah.
Keith, didn't you this week? I remember you with your you do blogs on Facebook, a path.
Hmm. Hmm.
Didn't you do like a blog this week about compassion?
I did. Yeah, I did about self-compassion and the importance about self-compassion. I certainly did. Yeah.
Do you want to expand a little bit on that while we're doing this?
Yeah, sure. And I did it because I think it's important to remember that as people who live with a long-term condition like pain, it's hard and we can get really down on ourselves because we can't do the things that we used to do. And it goes back to the first question. That really speaks to the emotional and psychological aspects of living with pain. It wears you down and you can be hard on yourself because I'm not the person I was, or, I'm not doing my part to help my partner, or I can't do my job. Like it's all of these things that just wear you down. And it's easy to fall into that trap of fighting it and getting angry and stressed over it because that's a natural reaction. Like nobody likes to feel that and be less than who you think you are. But that doesn't do anything other than burn up the limited energy you have with being angry and upset. So easier said than done. And self-compassion is taking that time to say, okay, I understand this is the way it is. I might not really like it, but this is where I'm at. So what am I willing to do the best that I can to be able to live with this and still do things? It doesn't mean you give up. It's like, okay, if I can't lift that heavy piece of wood, well, that's okay, I won't. But maybe there's other things that I can do
Mm.
to help or do something that's meaningful. And it's just being kind to yourself and saying, hey, this is hard, this is difficult. And instead of being mad at myself, I'm just going to be the best version of I can with the limitations that I have.
Thanks, Keith. As I say, Keith does you do it weekly. Is it normally a weekly thing? Is it, Keith, or
It's a little bit random. It's like you, and I get these crazy thoughts that hit me at night. And then once it's in my head, and I'll say this to my wife, like once it's in my head, I got to get it out. I just have to write.
yeah?
So it
Um,
could be a couple, three times a week, and I could go 2 weeks something. So
so check it out, guys. It's a path forward, and
thank you.
he posts it on social media platforms. I think Facebook and
Yeah.
Tin and Blue Sky, etc.
Yeah.
Uh, Threads. So, go on to a third one. This is from someone called Horace, a person living with pain. And I like this one. It's well, I like all of them, but this is
Hmm.
so. There's one from Horace. He says, "Can my family members or caregivers be involved in my pain management journey?" Oh boy, yeah.
Why don't you answer that one? Yeah.
A massive yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
because pain is yeah, not only affects the person, but also the people nearest and dearest, partner, family, relations, work colleagues, etc.
Hmm.
Always think of it like if you drop a pebble into a bowl of water, like you get the initial splosh, but
Hmm.
then it
Yeah.
ripples out,
Yeah.
and really they need to be part of the process as well. And I did actually, people nagging me the other year to do a paint toolkit for the partners and
Mm.
the family and work colleagues for that someone who's living with persistent pain. So yeah,
Hmm.
get him involved, like because it's like as you said, Keith, like with a healthcare professional, it's about it's teamwork,
Yep.
and having your family around you is an important part of your team. And the thing is, they need to be part of the process. They need to be familiar with what's happening. Like I always remember. I think it was on my pain management program. The relatives were invited along to a few of the sessions. Like
Mm.
they turned up one day, like with their partner or friends and whatnot, so they
Yeah.
could get an idea of what people on the pain management program were learning. Like
Right.
so, getting them involved, yeah, and have them part of your team because I've very rarely met anybody. I don't know about you, Keith, who sort of got persistent pain and then they're sort of trying to sort it out with themselves. Like it's I think that's pretty much a non-runner. But so and even me, like I had to I had to build a team around me, like
Hmm.
and I always think myself a little bit like a football manager, soccer if you're
Yep.
in the States. But any sport, the manager at the end of it's the end of our soccer season, manager season. So now they're sort of transferring people out and transferring
Hmm.
other people in, and that's the thing with as you go along with your journey living with pain, is that you're constantly, it's not about but you're just using people, but you know,
Hmm.
you need to get people on your team
Yep.
that can move you, challenge you, like,
Yep.
move you
Yep.
forward,
Yep.
to make you, but keep you in the driving seat, get you
Yep.
back on track, like,
Yep. I fully agree. And I just to add to and I like the idea of like say the team manager because there's a time and a place where you need these people to help you. And then when they have offered you what you need, then you're not throwing them away. You're like, well, thank you, you've helped me, but now I need to focus in on this. So you're constantly, yeah, like moving your team around. On
Mm.
the family side, I just want to, mention, I'm fortunate. I'm married and I've got a family, and my wife has been like ridiculously supportive. And I do remind her, because I had my accident when I was so young, that when she married me, she knew what she was getting into. So she couldn't say she didn't know it was coming. But still, it's hard on family members. And one of the most important things, and I struggled with this for a number of years, is, and I hear this from a lot of other people, is it's important for, if you have a partner or even close friends, to be honest with them, because we have a tendency to not want to share that, right? Because we don't want to burden others, but you can't hide that. You can't pretend you're not having problems or struggling. It comes out in other ways. For me, it came out in a lot of outbursts of angers or short tempers and stuff when I was having lots of pain, but I never wanted to say anything because I didn't want to burden my wife. And on the other side, she can see what's going on and she wants to do everything she can to try and help me and make it better. And I'm getting angry because no, I want to do stuff. And so leave me alone, I can do it, but I couldn't. That honesty and just being open and saying, here's how I'm feeling, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do. I think it's really important for people as much as they can to share that, because if I've seen any struggles or angst that comes from within family members, it's because people aren't communicating and sharing what's going on, and that causes tension with people. And it's not because they're mad at each other. Everybody's trying to help one another and they don't know what to do. So just be honest and share. Here's what I need you. Here's what you can do for me today, because here's how I'm feeling. And somebody can say, then, okay, I'm happy to do that for you. So,
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, looking at the clock here, I think we've got the last one to do.
all
We'll
right.
fit that one in. This is from George, who's a healthcare professional. And George asked, I'm just going to, can I just roll it back here a little bit? Because
Yep.
it's Father's Day here. And is it Father's Day over there?
It is. It certainly is. Yep.
My dad was called George, and
Oh,
yeah, so, yeah, my middle name's George as well. But
well, happy Father's Day to your late father. Yep.
yeah, I'm just going to give you a shout out to it's being Father's Day, all the fathers out there who are struggling and living with persistent pain, etc. Like, hey, listen, you're doing the best you can, like, and just reach out to, the Pain Toolkit or either one of us, like, and we'd be happy, only to be happy to support you in what way we can.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Um, but you're doing the best you can, best you can as well. But as you can listening to this here, these great Q&A things, it's best to get yourself back on track. Find a good coach, um, etc. Like, but hey, listen, man, you're all the fathers out there. You're awesome.
Yes.
You're doing the best you can. If you're holding down a job, Excel, as well as having living with persistent pain, give yourself
Yep.
a pat on the back, like, but don't
Yep.
forget, to self-management is it's not about giving up. It's about getting some extra skills in so that you can live life to the full again, etc. Like, but you're going to need some simple skills along the way. So, to all
Yep.
the fathers out there, we're here for you. All right.
Absolutely. Good message. Yep.
So, George,
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's right up your street because I know how much you dig the old academic sort of side of things.
A little bit of a nerd. Yep, I am.
uh,
Mhm.
so, George asked, how can we effectively measure the impact of self-management program on a patient's quality of life?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
I would respectfully challenge our healthcare professionals and academics when they talk about measuring things. Let's not measure it on some sort of linear scale or a numerical chart or a graph, because people aren't numbers. You can easily measure the effectiveness of a self-management program by talking to and supporting people by doing things like, hey, Pete, what is something that's important to you? And you're like, oh, well, I like to go for a walk, but I can't walk anymore. It's hard. So the healthcare provider works with them and say, well, let's try and, you used to walk 5 kilometers a day, and now let's see if you can walk a couple hundred meters and start with that, because walking is important. I think I can do a couple hundred meters. So they do that and like, oh yeah, I could. And then over time, 200 becomes 500 and becomes 1,000 meters. And over time, this important activity becomes something that's back in their life again. That is the ultimate measurement of how the self-management program is working. It's not a number on a scale. It's not some stupid smiley face or a frowny face. It's what is important to people, and are you able to get them back in? I'm going to use your analogy of you're going to get them back in the driving seat, and you're going to give them the skills and the support on how they can do those things again. And as you see their life expanding, because their life shrinks when you live with persistent pain, a lot of it shrinks, and the things that are important to you, you don't do anymore because you don't think you can or it hurts. And when somebody helps you find those important things and you start to bring them back into your life and your world grows again, that's the ultimate measurement of the program. It's not some stupid number on
Yeah,
a chart.
yeah.
It's how you function back in your life again.
There used to be, you just reminded me actually, when I worked in the NHS on the expert patients program, and I was working with a guy, another Dave actually, and we used to work in an office, and he said, "Listen to this." He said, "Pete," he spun around and he said, "Pete, listen to this." And he was reading something from, it was the chief medical officer called Cillian Donaldson, and he said, "Here, look," he's saying he's fed up watching, reading statistics on people, how many times have they reduced this or that, He said,
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear from people, how are they getting on, how self-management,
Like,
I want anecdotal evidence for them,
yeah,
how are they getting on with life, etc.
yeah,
I'm fed up reading that. It's the numbers system, out of 10, how do you feel about this, how to do
yeah.
it.
Now, just scrap all that because people are human. We're human beings, and it's about living our lives and doing the things that are meaningful to us. And when you help people get back on that path again, and it isn't like, well, you used to be able to walk 5K and tomorrow I'm going to get you there. And you help them find their way back to that. That's the ultimate success
Yeah,
because we're human beings. We're not machines and robots.
yeah.
So yeah, I get just it's a real soapbox of mine. And you and I and so many others understand it's so fundamentally simple, but healthcare and academia is still like, well, we need to qualify it on a scale. No, you don't. You need to talk to people and figure out how they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's it, but people improve when they get their confidence back.
No, right? Like it that can change people who their world has shrunk where maybe they don't even leave their house anymore. And I'm not saying our goal is to get them back into the workplace or anything, but if that's something that's important to them, if
Yeah,
you can help them get back there, you have changed their lives so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
getting their confidence back, getting them back in the.
100%. Yeah.
That's the way. And
People, yeah.
if you're one of these decision makers, or one of these commissioners in healthcare, I think, where you're looking at the, well, out of 10, how well are they doing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Getting them, you'll find that when if you start listening to people, what's important to you, as you say, getting their confidence back. Hey,
Yeah.
you might have to hold on to their feet because, off they go,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because, that's how we are. We're human beings. We're not programming us and stuff like that. We've got different wants and needs and
Yeah.
aspirations and stuff like.
And it's just, and that's what's important to people is have somebody who can help them sort of regain those important parts of their lives. And like you said, the number on a scale is just, it's meaningless. And as much as healthcare thinks like that's the only way that we can measure somebody's improvement, they're wrong. You measure somebody's improvement by
Yeah.
what's important to them, and now they're able to start doing it. That's more meaningful than any chart or scale or anything like that. So,
I don't know if I've told you this one before, Keith. When I go back to the expert patients program I worked on, and we ran a lot of courses here in Essex and stuff like that. And I was living in Chelmsford at the time, and I was walking around. I don't know where I was walking around in Chelmsford, but a woman stopped. Hey, Pete! And I looked at her. I didn't recognise her. This woman said, "Hey, Pete! Oh, really? I said, "Sorry, how do I know?" She said, "Oh, I was on one of your programs." I said, "Oh, great. Hey, how you doing?" He said, I thought we were a bit. She said, I didn't know what to make of it at first, But you know what? And I think she said she had a back problem, and she
mhm.
said, but what I was doing the action planning stuff, Pete, setting goals and action planning. she said I started getting back into doing me rock and roll jive, dancing and stuff,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
uh, and she said when I started dancing again, do you know what? My back pain started to improve. So
Hmm.
it was, the old meaningful movement. So she was a
Yeah,
movement she enjoyed doing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
she said, and my confidence come back, and it so go back to the dancing, getting her back pain improving, and guess
yeah.
what? Since she started going back to work,
That's a perfect example.
yeah,
People, those of us who live with pain, I did it for years. I had a fear of moving because every time I moved and it twinged, I thought I was
yeah,
damaging something. You get people that confident, you get them moving.
yeah.
People gain their lives, and that is what it should be about.
Okay. Well, there we go. We come to our end of this Q&A session, which all
There
goes
we go.
super fast. Thanks
Yeah.
everybody for watching or listening. If you're listening on the audio version,
Thanks, everyone.
audio
Yep.
version. Send in some more questions. We need some more questions, please.
Please
And
do. Yep.
we'll see you next. Will you be around next week, Keith?
I should be able to. Yeah. I'll let you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay.
But plan
If
is to be there. Yep.
Yeah, no problem if you can't. I think Dave will be back. Hopefully, to get three of us will be back. And
Yeah.
thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And wherever you are in the world or listening to this, self-management works.
It does. Thanks, everyone.
Take care, guys. Ciao. See you
Bye,
now.
everyone.
Bye.